your boy D Neal back with another reaction video, guys. Here we are with why Larry Bird is underrated. This is very intriguing. I don't know if I would call Larry underrated, because I feel like Larry gets his praises sung a lot. Like, a lot of people talk about how amazing, how incredible, how clutch, how smart, how Larry could do it all. I've heard it so much. So I'm intrigued to see how he's underrated. Before we dive into this, make sure you subscribe to the channel, ring notification bell, get a video a thumbs up so it gets suggested. Social media, Patreon, all up top. You don't subscribe to any of it, put all the links in the description. All you gotta do is hit the link, follow me, talk to me. Human, I talk back. You guys got a favorite video suggestion? You can subscribe to Patreon or drop it in the comment section. What we got? Larry Legend. Kobe. Yes, sir. 2 stars. MJ. Can't stop that. Yeah. I love Johnny videos, man.
It is widely accepted that Larry Bird is one of the greatest NBA players of all time, and even sneaks his way into the GOAT debate among many basketball circles. The thing is, I personally rank Larry Bird higher than most people do, as he's currently sitting in the 6th spot on my all-time list, and I even have him ranked slightly ahead of Magic Johnson, which is certainly a more uncommon opinion.
I wouldn't say that's bad. Oh, I know y'all gonna take this, but nah. I take Magic. I don't know, but I know Larry can shoot. He can pass. He's smart. He can rebound. He's got the full package, but I don't know. I don't know. I just take Magic. Don't ask me. Don't ask me. But having him 6th on your all-time list is, I mean, that's nothing to scoff at. Like, that's not a bad thing. That's high. That's where he that's around the area he deserves to be in. So.
Slightly ahead of Magic Johnson, which is certainly a more uncommon opinion. I think there's some major misconceptions to Bird's game that result in him not getting quite as much credit as I believe he deserves. And by the end of this video, I think that I can convince some of you that Larry Legend is in fact underrated. Before we get into some misconceptions, let's start with what most people already know about Bird, and I'll elaborate upon it. Over his 13-year career, Larry averaged 24.3 points on a stellar 56.4 true shooting percentage. Despite their talent-heavy history, Bird is the Celtics' all-time leading playoff scorer. So whether it was in the regular season or the postseason, he was always an efficient and lethal threat. He was obviously a legendary scorer and an incredibly efficient shooter. Larry is objectively one of the greatest three-point shooters of all time, as he's tied with Craig Hodges for the most three-point contests won in a career with a total of 3. The thing is, Hodges participated in a total of 8 three-point competitions, while Bird only participated in a total of 4.
I didn't even know he lost one. I thought he won every three-point contest he was in. Yeah, I know Larry was deadly with it.
Three-point competitions, while Bird only participated in a total of 4. So he literally did the same amount of damage as the other all-time leader in half the amount of time. On top of all of this, you really could make the argument that Bird is the most all-around efficient scorer of NBA history. If that seems like a stretch, then consider this. During some of his prime years, Larry went on a 5-year stretch where he had 50-40-90 percentages. Only 9 players in NBA history have achieved at least one season of 50-40-90 percentages. Yet Larry did it over a 5-year stretch while putting up just about 28, 10, and 7 each night. The only player who has come close to that all-around efficiency over such a long period of time is actually Steve Nash. But the thing is, Nash was never primarily a scorer and averaged roughly half the amount of points that Larry did during his stretch. To efficiently score that many points on that kind of volume of all-around shot attempts is something that no one else has ever done as well as Larry Bird did.
That is sick. To average those splits and average that much points on that kind of shooting percentage, yeah. He's not lying. That's pretty sick.
All-around shot attempts is something that no one else has ever done as well as Larry Bird
5
did.
years?
Again, maybe some of you didn't know the extent of how lethal Larry was as an all-around efficient scorer, but I do feel like that's probably the most commonly understood aspect of his game. Now for the misconceptions and the details that definitely make Larry an underrated player.
Okay.
There are a lot of people, especially younger basketball fans, who believe that Larry was a subpar defender. This is incredibly inaccurate, as Bird wasn't just a good defensive player, but a great one. As a 6'9" small forward, he definitely had the size and length to frustrate the offensive opponent. Sure, there is the narrative that Larry was a slow and unathletic player, and thus it affected his defensive play. This is true to a certain extent, but it's also grossly exaggerated. What Larry did have are the most important traits of a great defensive player, which are hustle, heart, intelligence, effort, and availability. Larry was never lacking in any of these areas. He always put in the work, and he was incredible not only at reading the defenses, but also at anticipating them.
Give me that.
Larry made 3 NBA All-Defense teams throughout the course of his career, and even finished as high as 3rd overall in the Defensive Player of the Year running in 1983. He wasn't just a solid on-ball and help defender, but he was also a terrific pickpocket, as Larry averaged a fantastic 1.7 steals per game over the course of his 13-year career. His best evening in this area came on February 18, 1985 against the Utah Jazz, when Larry dropped 30 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists, and 9 steals.
God dang! Oh, he needed that. I would have put him in the 4th, bro. I would have had to. I would say, Larry, you got to go get that steal, bro. Like, I don't know how you going to get it, but you got to go get that steal. You got to give us a quadruple double, Larry, because my God.
Larry dropped 30 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists, and 9 steals in only 3 quarters of play. Due to them absolutely destroying the Jazz, Bird didn't play a second of the 4th quarter. To this day, the NBA record for the most steals in a single game is 11. So not only could he have easily been only the 2nd player to ever achieve the quadruple-double, but if Bird had played the 4th, he might have been the record holder for the most steals in a game. You have to be a great defensive player in order to be in a position to seize that record. On top of all of that, Bird led the entire NBA in defensive win shares a total of 4 times. That's the 4th most in NBA history. The only players ahead of him on that list are Tim Duncan, George Mikan, and Bill Russell. That is a remarkably short list of great defensive players. I'm not trying to say that Bird was on the level of someone like Dennis Rodman or Scottie Pippen, but to call Larry anything other than a great defensive player is either completely ignorant or is just plain disrespect towards his game. The other key area where people underappreciate Bird was his rebounding ability, as Larry was simply one.
I don't see how he's because the average that he gets on rebounds, bro. Like, no, Larry was an incredible rebounder. Anyone who undervalues his rebound ability is wild.
People underappreciate Bird was his rebounding ability, as Larry was simply one of the greatest rebounding small forwards that the game has ever seen.
Big time.
He was aggressive and tenacious, as he got as high as 11 rebounds per game in 1983.
That's wild.
Qualities that I mentioned earlier, like his size, hustle, and intelligence, are also things that helped him as he battled on the boards. Over the course of his career, Larry averaged a whopping 10 rebounds per game, and when he was starting specifically at the small forward position, he averaged 9.5 rebounds per game. That's the 3rd highest average among primary small forwards in NBA history. The only players ahead of him are Billy Cunningham and Elgin Baylor, who both played in the 1960s, which was easily the most inflated rebounding era of basketball history. So not only is Bird an underrated rebounder, not only is he objectively one of the all-time great rebounders, but he's also arguably the greatest rebounder ever at his position. Along with all the other skills I talked about, Larry was also a remarkably gifted facilitator. But I won't delve into that much, because like his shooting, I also think that's an area that a decent amount of people have a strong appreciation for. Ultimately, I think it's his solid defense and his elite rebounding that people underestimate. which is why I think he's underrated, regardless of the fact that people still refer to him as Larry Legend. Do you agree? Where does Larry Bird rank on your list of the greatest players of all time? Let me know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching as always. Make sure to like and subscribe for more basketball content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Larry for sure in my top 10. I'll say Larry for sure. I never wrote out a list of my top 10, but he's in my top 10. And that's basketball players since I've been born, so that's a lot of basketball players. Dang. I feel like there's too many basketball players from before I was born in my top 10. Oh, well. That's all we got for this one. You guys got a favorite video suggestion, you can subscribe to Patreon or drop it in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel, ring notification bell, get a video a thumbs up so it gets suggested. Social media and Patreon are all up top. You don't subscribe to any of it, put all the links in the description. All you got to do is hit the link, follow me, talk to me. Love talking to you guys. You guys are the most incredible team on YouTube. It's your boy D Neal. Out.